Hello, everyone, and welcome to So You Think with Pastor Terry, the show that is spiritually relevant, culturally significant, that encourages people to look at life issues in a non-traditional way. We are so glad to have you here with us today. And I want to welcome all of our people from that listen to us over in Belgium and Nigeria and Kenya and all over the continent of the United States. We'd just like to thank you all for supporting So You Think with Pastor Terry as we continue to expand and reach other countries. We want everyone to really to like and share this show. Like and share this show right now. And know that this show is recorded and it will be aired again on Thursdays at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will be aired on envision-radio.com. Again, this is a recorded show. We're recording it live right now. It will be aired again on Thursdays at 6:00 on envision-radio.com. So thank you all for joining us. And tonight we have an action-packed show tonight. And we're going to be picking up kind of where we left off last week, but we're going to be spinning it off into the topic is that you're not my daddy, you're my man. You're not my daddy, you're my man. And tonight I am just so pleased to have with us our panelists tonight. And tonight we have our wonderful with us, Miss Kiana, all the way from Greensboro, North Carolina. How you doing, Miss Kiana?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you on with us again, representing that younger generation.
We are here.
And so we're really excited to have you with us today and can't wait to have your input on the show again. So keeping it 100, lady. We want to keep it 100, all right? All right. And so we also have all the way from Dallas, Texas, Miss Kendra Hamilton. We are so glad to have you with us today.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Welcome. It's welcome. Just love having you on board. We know you're in Dallas, and we know that you had your Derby thing going on, but you missed Derby up here this year. But
exactly.
Hopefully you celebrated it down there.
We did a little something. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome again. Thank you for being with us. And also now we have I don't want to call her our elder statesman, but she brings a level of wisdom that only she can. And we are so glad to have with us Deandra Wardell, hers, here with us today. She is the president and CEO On to the Next One Consulting, and we are just so glad. She's always from Indianapolis. Glad to have you, Deandra.
It is good to be back. How's everyone doing?
Doing great. We're doing great. We see you got your glasses on today.
Well, I gotta be able to see because we're getting ready to get in some interesting waters, and I want to be able to see where I'm stepping.
Yeah, interesting waters today. And naturally, we have my co-host. He's here with us all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, via Dallas, Texas. Cedric Crutchfield. Welcome, Mr. Crutchfield. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
We're doing great. Doing great. Oh my gosh, we're really excited about this show, and I hope you don't mind being the only fellow other than myself today. And these ladies got something for us today, I think. We're going to be talking about you're not my daddy, you're my man. And all this is really, May is usually looked as Mother's Day and this, that, and the other, but I'm looking at it as like Women's Month. And so we're going to be covering topics that are important to women and why this is important. And I'm going to ask this question of the lady. Looking at the topic today, you're not my daddy, you're my man. Why is this important that we just have these type of discussions? I'm going to throw it out to Deandra. Go ahead, Deandra.
Oh, my goodness.
I was going to say that.
And I'd like to toss it over to Kiana. No. So I think this is a very necessary and it's a very interesting topic. because we're talking about relationships, and in a relationship, no one wants to be treated like a child,
right?
And no one wants to be, it's that partnership, and so I'm looking forward to what we will discuss, but. You're not my daddy. That can take on so many different connotations, because for those of us who are blessed to have had a really strong father figure, we look for those traits in the person who we're dating. But at the same time, we're not looking to be treated like a child. So I'm interested to hear what the other panelists have to say about this. You're not my daddy, you're my man theme for this evening.
And I want to get a man's perspective. We have Cedric here with us. Cedric, why is it important that we discuss this, have this type of discussion? We don't have Mr. Crutchfield with us. Cedric, why is it so important that we have these discussions? We lost him. We don't have him.
He glitchy.
Yeah.
He's glitching.
Yeah,
he's.
Here we go.
You got blank spectrum on this one. So you got me now?
Yeah, we got you.
So I think it's important just for gaining understanding. I think that we can gain a little bit of insight into one another, the opposite sex, male versus female kind of thing, and our attitudes and the reasons why we do certain things. We know it's not going to be blanket coverage, but it gives us an idea, a little bit better understanding. That's why I think it's important.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that we set this tone. Is like, because everybody talks about men are from Mars and women are from Venus type of thing. Everybody thinks differently, but I really want us to talk, really to think about, like, men are different in the way we think. I mean, a lot of us haven't gotten in touch with our softer side or the feminine side, and we find ourselves being the hunter or the one that goes and does all the provision, and feel like we have to provide and we have to do all these different things, and what that does, that overrides the side that I believe that women need to see from us most. Would you say, Cedric?
I think we understand there has to be a balance.
There has to be a balance, and that's where you're gonna leave it at.
I'm gonna leave it right there. I ain't ready to start no trouble just yet.
Okay. So here we go.
Okay.
There has to be this balance. Okay, I see DeAndre just kind of warming up. Okay, but how? Let me see. Before we even, how do we find ourselves? How do women usually find themselves in these type of relationships where you got this I think DeAndre kind of hit it, where you have this dominant male figure that you grew up with, and you finding yourself attaching yourself to that type of a personality. Is that true in your relationships that you all have experienced a lot of times, Kendra, Kiana, DeAndre?
Not for me, but I do tend, and I have always tended to like men who take charge.
Okay. Okay.
Like my husband, and he's take charge. And that's fine with me, because it's not a dominance that is controlling.
Okay.
It's just, his personality is, when something needs to be done, he'll get it done. He just steps in and does what needs to happen. And I do the same. So it's kind of like what DeAndre talked about, the partnership piece of, kind of knowing, what your gifts are in the partnership, and stepping in and taking care of those.
So it's kind of like where you're weak, be strong.
Yeah. And the same, like he told me a long time ago, he said, you're really good managing money, so you do that. I'm like, okay, and I am. I take care of all the, I have a budget. I have everything laid out. I take care of like paying everything. You know what I'm saying? We have a joint, and then we have our separates, and then all of that good stuff. And so it just works out.
Okay.
You step in where get in where you fit in. The same way, basically.
But okay, Kiana, how about yourself? What do you see?
Right.
What are your thoughts
like
on that?
For me, I pretty much say I'm looking for someone who's more so confident in himself and like what he's able to bring to the table. Because I feel like we need to put a more emphasis on being able to meet your partner kind of where they're at. I feel like that's where a disconnect comes, and you don't recognize what all your female is bringing to the table. Like if I already had like this degree, this job, XYZ before I met you, I'm not looking for someone to come in and reorder my steps. I'm looking for someone to be able to say, okay, she's already, on her, game. What can I do? I'm confident in myself. I know I'm bringing this to the table. So then we can, benefit each other as we go. But if you're already like so secure in who you are, what you bring to the table, like, yes, I was successful in school. I was successful in sports. I'm smart. If I know who I am, you're not about to change my ways and, have me try to shift something that I'm not accustomed to. So what I need is a partner who knows what he's bringing to the table, is secure in what he brings to the table, and for us to be able to move together as one, not on different levels.
Exactly.
So
that's
what I'm hearing you say is you're not looking for a project.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for a project. I'm looking for an equal. I'm looking for a partner. Yeah.
No, sir. No project.
DeAndre, go ahead, DeAndre. Go ahead.
That's it. I'm not looking for a project, and I'm not looking to be anyone's project.
No.
So, when you talk about that, you're not my daddy thing, that's what comes to mind. And to take a little bit from what Kendra and Kiana said, I like the illustration that Kendra used, where her husband recognized Kendra's strengths, and they complement. And I don't want to say weaknesses, but but what she does complements, his gifts or what have you, and then together they make a strong unit, and they're getting things done. And so, coming from a dating standpoint, I'm not looking. I have a vision of what I want to accomplish. Whoever it is that I'll date, I want him to help support me along the way, offer constructive feedback if he sees me veering off where I may, be getting off track or what have you. And then I would offer the same for him to help so that we can complement one another, support one another to reach our goals. But I'm not looking to be, like I said, a project where I'm being criticized of, kind of like what we talked about last week. You drive this, you live here, you have this degree, all those things are already who I am.
Right.
Whoever we're dating, marrying, or what have you, it's about looking at the current state and moving forward, and how we can help one another progress in whatever it is we're trying to achieve, and not parent one another or be one another's pet project.
Right.
Girl. Talk about the parent piece. Oh my goodness.
Go ahead, Keandra. Go ahead, Kendra.
I have found in my personal experience, and I don't know about you and Terry, Cedric, and Terry, but in dating enough people, I have found that there are just some people who just don't know how to handle life and handle business of life, the business of life. And so sometimes, like a person like me, or even my husband, or even my friends, we've talked about these types of things, right? Where it's like, I just felt like I had to just kind of step in and be that person to help them get their stuff in order. Like Kiana was saying, I don't need you to put me in order, but I need to help you get your stuff in order. And it's like, you don't want to end up with a project person yourself, like someone that you have to constantly help all the time. And that's when, one of my male friends, one time we talked about it. I said, dude, whatever you do, with the talent that you have and the smarts you have, please don't, I hate to say it on Pastor Terry's show, but I was like, don't be Captain Save-A-Hoe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's just, let's get to it. Because at the end of the day, there are just people like that who are just looking for someone who is on point with their life, their career, their money, their this, their that. And they are literally searching for people to help them get a come up.
Yeah.
Whether that be male or female. It works both ways.
Yeah.
You have the guys that are really nice, and they're like, oh, I have great conversation, I can treat you right, this and that, but they don't bring anything else to the table. Or you have women who they look good, but like one of my male friends said, one of my childhood friends, he was like, some people are like Christmas presents.
Mhm.
They're really beautiful on the outside, and you open it up and it's a pair of socks. You know what I mean? I mean, we've literally had these conversations. That's how I can share this stuff with you guys. So it's just so, you just have to really have, it takes so much discernment these days, especially.
Yeah. And it's about, like, I think what you all are saying, it's about being a helpmeet. That's what the Bible talks about.
Yeah, be a helpmate. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for someone that's going to be the one that's going to walk with you, grow with you, develop with you, support you, all those wonderful things, and you support them.
Right.
So it's going to be reciprocal.
Like Kendra said, it's being, the partnership and realizing the strengths, like she says, not weaknesses, but how you complement each other. It's so important.
Yeah.
And Pastor Terry, you talked about scripture. This reminds me of advice my grandfather always gave me. He always said, D, don't be unequally yoked.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and if you think about the analogy, between farm animals or what have you, you have, the ox that's going to be out there working, getting things done. Then you may have a donkey that's a little stubborn, that's not going to have to do anything. And if one person is constantly moving and driving and is a go-getter, and the other one is kind of falling back, where, the other one's having to pull the person along, and that goes back to that whole parenting thing. You don't want to be struggling. You can struggle. What's the song? I can do bad all by myself. It's that partnership where, like I said, you're complimenting one another as you're working and striving towards something. That's, whether you're dating or wherever you are in terms of that, relationship journey.
Now, Cedric, what are your thoughts about what these ladies are saying right here?
I apologize. My Spectrum still hasn't scrubbed me well on my internet, so I've been missing some of it. But I think what they're saying is good. If you like Cheerios or Fruit Loops. That's on my back into last week. So y'all correct me if I'm going too far back. But my thing is, while you ladies bring so much to the table, right? Everybody's talking about what they bring to the table. Me personally, when I look at relationships, I don't care what your degree's in. I don't care if you've never been to college. I don't care what you dress like. I don't care. Are we compatible? Can we have a conversation? Can we grow up together? And what I mean by that is, because I've met a lot of professional women who are as immature as 18-year-olds. Okay, I'm just gonna say I'm saying. I'm talking about adult women, and I think we have to be careful when we're seeking a mate. I think that as a man, my biggest flaw is, if you don't look a certain kind of way, I'm probably not gonna pay much attention to you. I need somebody who makes me look good, because y'all know I'm ugly. I want somebody to make me look good, right? But you also have to have a personality to go with that, right? And you have to. I want somebody who knows how to enjoy life the way I do, because most people see me. I'm pretty serious most of the time, but when I come home and I close the door, I'm a goofball. I'm gonna be honest, man. I laugh. I can quote almost every line from Beverly Hills Cop, the movie Life. I mean, I can go on. One of my favorite movies is Malibu's Most Wanted. I crack up every time I look at it. I love it. And nobody would ever know that about me if you didn't get to know me. So I hear you ladies running it down about the things you have, but honestly, when I think of relationships, again, I'm not your father. I can get things done. I will get things done. That part of life you don't have to worry about. But my thing is, what do you bring to the table that is not superficial? Because but I'm here to tell you, the bottom can fall out in a week. And so I like to get to the nut and bolts, and that's me when it comes to relationships. And I hope I didn't get off the topic.
No. I'm with Cedric on that. Okay, I'm with Cedric on that, because the reality is there are just a lot of people out here who are very emotionally immature.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah,
and so it goes all across, gender, race, everything. They are emotionally immature. And like I said, like we talked about last week, it takes a lot of work to get out of those modes, the whatever issues you know, you've had, whatever baggage you're bringing from previous relationships, you have to get rid of that stuff and be able to move on. So
I go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I got a question.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I got a question. So when you run down your life and you see where you are, your position in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a vision of the type of guy you want? And is that the only kind of guy you go for? Do you miss what's truly good for you because you want what tastes good to you? Because see, when I hear about women, when I was thinking about our conversation from last week, right? You know, the boss chick. What was the name of the show? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Superwoman.
Right?
Superwoman.
Okay, Superwoman. So I'm gonna be honest. As a man, and I've had some successes and some failures in life. Man, when I see Superwoman, she frightens me a little bit. And it's not because I'm weak, I'm immature, I'm insensitive. It's because I feel like I'm gonna have to fight this chick. Kendra said something to me last week, and I didn't comment on it. And I was telling her about when I was married, my wife. My wife at the time would want me to do stuff, and I'd be like, I'm gonna get it done, don't worry about it. And she was like, well, sometimes she just wants you to get up and do it. I'm not a child. If we agreed that something needs to be done, I'm gonna handle it. I'm going to get it done. You are not I'll double check it. Mama to tell me what to do all the time. And I find in relationships, there's a lot of women where we, again, I hate to say it like this, a lot of women feel like they have to micromanage what the man is doing. And vice versa. Let's get it right. And vice versa. But so I think we focus so much on the little things that we miss the big picture. I'll fix my mic too.
Go ahead, Deandra. Go ahead.
So, I think we need to, clarify, pick a theme, pick a topic, and stay on it. And what I mean by that is because, this whole Superwoman, I don't call myself Superwoman. I see myself, I'm an everyday person, child of God, out here trying to do what I need to do. It just so happened I have these things and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to dating, and when I talked about that whole equal, it's not just about my job, what I drive, what have you. It's the whole thing. It's the social, it's the the downtime, it's having fun. I want my mate. I want him to be just as have a dry sense of humor, laugh at all my dumb jokes. Watch reruns of The Office, but at the same time, I want to be able to exegete scripture. I want that diversity in terms of thought and mind and practice and all that type of stuff. And so, and not trying to knock Cedric, I'm not trying to, pick on my brother here, but like when he talks about, no, I'm trying to be kind. Don't
be nice to him, Deandra.
Okay. Like I'm trying to understand because like you said that. Right. Well, let me put it like this. There are men, I'll put it generically, who'll say, I want this specific thing, and there may be external factors they're looking at, and that's fine. But then but when I meet this woman, I might be intimidated by this, but then I want this. Well, which one is it? It's that
ain't what I said.
Okay. Well, and that's why I switched it and said generically. That's why I switched it.
That ain't what I said.
Okay.
We lost some of your audio too, so we
right.
Yeah.
I was going to touch on one of the points that Cedric had made because you had made a comment. You had made a lot of different points, but you had made you strictly said one thing about people's certain type, and you go after kind of your type, or you kind of ignoring what could be best for you. Really, I just feel like people have to live and learn in order to kind of realize that sometimes their type isn't what's best for them. Because when you're set on I'm attracted to X, Y, Z. Of course, I'm gonna chase that, but through life and kind of figuring out, dang, my type's not really benefiting me in the ways it needs to. That's when you kind of start to look at the bigger picture. So you have to really just live and learn to realize that your type might not be the best for you. Because in the time, if someone's like, hey, you should try, this, that, and the third, you kind of like, nah, that man fine. I'm gonna go get that. But it just takes getting to know people and realizing that, yes, it's deeper than just physical appearance. Like what's at the core of people sometimes is not, so pretty. So you really gotta live and learn. And like I said, that's why dating is so important, because you have to go through all of that to realize what's really best for you. And sometimes at the end of the day, you end up with a different type than you would have never imagined in the beginning of your dating cycle.
I'll tell you, for me, all I've ever really wanted was somebody who was smart, had good personality, some confidence, had a spiritual life. If he was cute, that's great too. All I ever really wanted was somebody who was smart. You know what I mean? So,
wow, you guys have said a lot.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I want to put a pin right here. Anybody, if you're watching this, we having a really good discussion about you're not my daddy, you're my man, and we're talking about relationships from a female perspective, with a hint of male in here, but we really want to really dig into this a little bit more, because what we're finding a lot of times is that we find a lot of somebody put sugar daddy.
Sugar mama's out there too.
Right.
And honestly,
not me, but I can.
There are women that are out there looking for a sugar daddy.
Yeah,
right.
They're looking for somebody to be able to pay their bills, to take them on these trips, these nice places, and this, that, and the other, and they're sacrificing a whole lot for that. A whole lot for that. And we can hit on that too, but on the from that angle. But as far as the way like women searching for the daddy or the zaddy or whatever they call them nowadays, and really get into. I mean, let's really get into that.
For me, said,
I don't have much comment on it because I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know anything about that because that just that's just never been my game. That's never been my game. I just never, and it's not about not having opportunity for that to be the game, but that just wasn't the game I wanted to play.
Right. Because, who wants to take advantage of someone or, look to, zap someone, taking their hard-earned dollars, to benefit yourself. That's not what being in a relationship should be about, although that happens.
No, it happens. It happens.
Right. That I would agree. Like, that's not my way out, but for like the younger generation, like sometimes people do seek that because of the superficial. It's just the easy way out. Because some people, they go through life and they're like, hey, this 9 to 5 not gonna work. I need me a little sugar daddy. Like, I need to buy these bags. I'm too cute to be clocking in and out. And it just be like that. So like really it's the preference of the female, because some people want the easy way out, but they don't realize till later down in life what all they're really sacrificing and giving all that power to the man with the money. Like a lot of people, a lot of people at a young age don't realize the importance of having your own. You know what I'm saying? Like you really need you really need to have your own. Like that degree's not going to leave you. You know what I'm saying? That man of money could leave you looking stupid, but people don't realize high and dry.
With a bad hair weave.
They just leave you high and dry. You got to move back in with your parents.
Right.
Wow.
I heard about it.
Well, we got some ladies on here tonight. That's good.
I heard about it.
These are not little girls.
So let's look at this. Your daddy. You're not my daddy. Daddies, they take care of, they provide for, they do all these different things for their children. Women, you got women that are, that some women, like you said, Kiana, are looking for that.
Yeah.
But then you have women such as yourselves are saying, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's going to be my equal.
Right.
And it's not about the stuff that you have. It's not about the house. It's not about the car. Because honestly, you all could do that your own selves. This is literally, you're talking emotionally. You're talking, what other areas are you talking about? Emotionally, you're talking, you were looking for your equal in other areas, such as
mentally, spiritually, mentally, spiritually.
Okay.
You know, what money can't buy. What money can't buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Stand by.
I mean, it touches on what Cedric was talking about. It's the substance of a person.
Right.
That, you know, that's what you want is substance. You don't want just the superficial, super fine. And my Uncle Larry would say, years ago, I heard him say, you know, you don't want some woman who's got like a Barbie doll body and a Tinker Toy brain. Is what he would say.
I like that.
Wow.
Because I haven't heard it in so long. But I remember, you know, he and my mom, they were talking about, you know, how his dating life and whatever he was doing. And so I would just remember that I was like, yeah, you know, and my mom told me years ago, Kendra, you have to be smart first. Before anything else, you have to be smart. And so when she told me that, it stuck with me.
Wow. And you have to be smart, but you have to be emotionally intelligent.
That's right.
Yeah,
because you don't want to deal with someone who's immature and insecure. Like Cedric talked about the example last week. Let me know if I misquote you about, you know, always having the need to check in. Either you trust the person or you don't. Now, you know, check in that you made a long trip and you arrived, your flight landed okay. That's one thing. Right. But if you're going to hang out with your friends, and you got to call and text every 10, 15 minutes. Who's got time for that?
No one has time for that.
Yeah. So it's emotional intelligence. It's all of those different vectors of what makes up a person. Like you guys said, it's the substance of the person that's important. And you don't pick up on that from one conversation or the first time you meet. That's why it's so important that there is dating and that there's courtship, that inquiry where you're learning about one another and you're figuring out, well, you know, do I want to pursue this, or is this someone who I want to be a friend, or do I need to exit stage left ASAP?
And that's why it's so important too. Picking up on what Deandra's saying too, that courtship area. You know, that's why it's so important, you guys. And I mean, I'm married now. I've been married for 6 years now, but we've known each other and been together for 10 technically, and so almost 11 actually. Now 11 in October actually this year. But the thing is, that's why it's so important to not introduce all of this physical stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's okay.
Because there are people who, you know, they connect emotionally through that. And so, you know, through sex. And so it's just like too soon. And you might end up with a whole crazy person. And that's why you have to really dig in and just chill for, you know, I didn't read Steve Harvey's book, but that 90-day thing sounds like that's something people should follow. I'm not gonna lie.
Or even longer.
I think it should be more like
I thought it was like
180.
90 days.
That's a 90. It's like 90.
Was it 90 days? To not
that was 90
introduce
days.
the whole sex thing?
90 days. Yeah.
But again,
I think that's a good idea.
I think this should be something that should be a little bit longer than 90 days.
It should be.
Maybe longer than 90 days. But the substance piece. Okay, now hear me, ladies. I need y'all to help me on this. How can we help our brothers get to that point of realizing that this is about substance? This is not about stuff. How can we help our brothers and help get our brothers to that point? Because we have a lot of brothers that are out here that think, well, if I can just give this girl this ring, if I could just, and I'm gonna be real, if I can just, get it in the bedroom, not dust her off, and she good, she'll be good. You know what I'm saying? So how can we help elevate our brothers today? Let's talk about elevation of our brothers today.
Who you want
That's
to
a
go
good
first?
question.
All right.
Who do you want to go first?
That's a good question.
That's an excellent question. Where do you want to start, Pat?
You can start since you're the elder statesman. Go ahead.
I'm the elder statesman. It's about a mindset. And follow me where I'm going here. Mm-hmm. So if you have in your mind, because there are some men like this and there are some women like this, I have to be married by age such and such. Mm-hmm. Or as soon as I date somebody, we have to be, you've got to tag that we in a relationship on Facebook within 2 weeks. I got to meet your parents within, these set timelines. And I think you really have to condition yourself to let that go and take the time to get to know the individual, whatever that get to knowing a person may be like, but trying to find out who they are. And if you think of like an analogy, when someone is starting a job, you think about the interview process. They're going to put their best foot forward. They're going to put their best foot forward in the application. They're going to put their best foot forward in the interview. And then, 6 months to a year in, you figure out, oh, I didn't know this about this person. Well, you don't just throw them out. You see, well, what can I do to help them be successful? And you have to have a similar mindset, I think, when it comes to dating. It takes time. It takes time to develop those relationships, to learn about people, and not just jump to conclusions because you may have a timeline or a certain goal set of something that you want.
Right. And that's when touching on that, that's when you really end up marrying or being in a long-term relationship, even without marriage, more than likely to the wrong person. Sometimes the red flags show up quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes they may not show up. It may be a year from now. It could be 2 years in some cases. But the thing is, like kind of what we touched on last week, just about the honesty in a person who's willing to share, what they have really experienced. The thing is, like DeAndre said, people can put on a show for a while, but at what point does that show wear out? When are they gonna, fall off?
Right.
You just don't know. And I feel like that's why, last week when I was saying, ask questions and ask like real questions. What was the relationship like between your parents? What was that? The background of a person, because the background is so much more important than the foreground at that point.
That is true. That is very true.
You've got to get to, you've got to work yourself to that point where you can actually have that honest conversation. And like I said, if people aren't willing to discuss those things, you may have, that's a red flag right there. Like, look, we can't talk about this.
So what you're saying, Kendra, is this: for brothers to elevate their game, they got to be willing to be transparent on their life.
To be transparent. Right. Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you honestly, Pastor Terry, when I got married the first time, I found out after the fact that my ex-husband sat in premarital counseling and lied about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Background of the family, his parents' relationship, his upbringing. He lied. And so it didn't come until what we talked about earlier, pressures of life, that I found out all the truth. And I got a phone call from mama, the mama, and got the real deal. Too late. The whole thing could have been avoided. But I learned a lot.
And that's one of the things I tell people when I do premarital counseling with them. I'm like, look, this can work only if you're going to be transparent, both parties. Which means everybody elevating themselves and say, something, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to put this out here. So again, to save you time and energy and effort, those are the things that must take place. So if we're talking to the brothers out here today, hey brothers, it's about being transparent, and really being honest and really coming forthright with what your life is really like. What's molded you? How did you get to where you are right now in your life?
Exactly.
Because you might have been raised in an abusive home, and if that's all you saw, then let's think about it. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna try to probably resolve those issues and heal from that stuff. You're gonna bring that stuff into whatever relationship that I got with you, and I ain't trying to, and the vice versa. That's men and women. And it's mental and emotional abuse as well. Right.
Even minus the physical part, there are people who can mentally and emotionally abuse you as well because they came out of that type of environment. The whole passive aggressive behavior.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cedric. Go ahead.
I didn't really have any. Oh, well, I was going to say another thing that I think as men, one of the things we have to learn to do is we have to learn to listen. A lot of people think listening is just hearing the words.
Right.
But I will tell you that listening is bigger than that. You hear all the terms, be an active listener, things like that. But we have to learn to shut off the outside interference. And most of the time, us as men, the outside interference is not outside, it's in our heads. It's our brains moving overtime. It's us trying to guess the next step that she's going to take. It's about us we're preparing to rebut what she says before she says it, no matter if it's a good thing or a bad thing, if it's something that's really emotionally crippling to her. And I think as men, we have to learn how to address that. And we have timing is everything. Am I right or wrong? Timing is everything. And so I think us as men, to make our ladies feel comfortable enough with us to truly be open and transparent, we have to learn to listen so that we don't betray that trust. Because we know, I know that when you leave a relationship on bad terms, like me as a man, if I were in a relationship with a woman and I left that relationship on bad terms, what did I just do? I just scarred her. And so the next guy who comes along, oh, he's in for a fight, So the bomb doesn't blow up on me; it blows up on the next and the next. And the same with women; it goes both ways. So I think we truly learn to be good listeners. That's one of the great qualities that we need to develop.
How else can we elevate our brothers? Kiana, you got something?
I'd say we really need to focus on like comprehension though, because it's like you could talk all you want, but if someone's not really fully comprehending what you're saying, it's just silent chaos. So I feel like you really need to take in what the female's saying, what the male's saying, and really comprehend and find that common ground of what's the problem or what are we really working towards, instead of just be like, oh, we just need to listen. No, we need to comprehend what the what's going on in the situation as well.
And that's when those types of situations, those types of conversations are when you find out who's emotionally intelligent or not.
Yes, 100%. Who has empathy, who laughs it, yes.
Yeah. Are you going to talk to me? Are we going to have a conversation? When something happens, it doesn't have to be something terrible, but you can just have it
down and get defensive. Right.
Yeah. Someone get defensive.
Don't make no sense. Right. Why are you so
defensive? Can we just talk about this?
Can we just talk about this?
Because you had some type of experience, that made them feel like, oh, I'm getting attacked. I'm trying to attack you. Have a conversation.
And that's a good point, Kendra. That whole, because, as you're getting to learn a person, you're having these conversations, you're going to ask questions. That curiosity should be a key part of developing this relationship. And, with that emotional intelligence piece, whether it's for the man or the woman, when you ask questions, well, what's he trying to do? What's she trying to do? And immediately getting on the defensive, all that stuff is telling. And that's why, again, it's so important that you take the time up front to figure out who it is, that you're dating or that you're hollering at or that you're texting or chatting with, because, people wear a mask. Whenever you meet someone, you're going to put on, and I'm not saying it to have a negative connotation. We're always going to put our best foot forward. But it's over the course of time, as you begin to kind of let some of those walls down and you have open conversation, that's when you get to the heart of who a person really is. And all that stuff doesn't come up right out of the gate.
No, it does not.
It takes time. And brothers, sisters, are you willing to invest the time that's needed to travel on this path to be in this whatever relationship, or to be in the relationship you desire to have?
Wow, DeAndre, I love the way you said that. Are you willing to invest? Because that's what this is. This is an investment. It's just not about you controlling somebody and you controlling and you handling everything and doing all this stuff. This is really about investing in your future, investing in yourself, investing in another person. Yes, ma'am.
It's an investment and it's a sacrifice, because you have to understand how much you're willing to give and how much you're, willing to sacrifice. And so, everyone knows their tolerance levels of how much shenanigans they can put up with and how much they can't and all that kind of stuff. And you have to determine right out of the gate, what is your tolerance, so that you're not wasting your time or the other person's time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, you guys are really giving some solid advice, to our brothers. Anything else that brothers can do to elevate them? So you guys are giving us, be transparent, listen, comprehend. what's being said. Understand you got to learn how to invest into the thing, into the rest. What else is there for what else? How else can brothers elevate their game?
I feel like in order to really elevate your game as well, I feel like especially like with my generation, you guys have to we have to learn how to kind of control the level of lust out here. Because a lot of times people chase what might look good and leave behind a real one thinking they got it like that. So you really need to be able to be grounded in yourself and, not just jump at everything that looks good. Because everything that looks good isn't always, the best. Exactly. So it's important to control and be self-aware of how lust might affect how you're attracted to certain people.
Right. Those Christmas presents again popping up.
Look, Kendra, and it's not just socks, because some socks are nice, but you open up, it's some holy socks that have been going to the gym several times. They've been washed and they wrap them up.
I'm telling you, they're out there. They're out there like that.
But I like Kendra. I mean Kendra, Deandra, Kiana. I'm sorry, but Kiana, you bring a level of maturity and understanding that a lot of young people your age don't have. Nice. You're talking about controlling the level of lust.
Yeah, that
is major because lust can blind you to the real person. It really can. I mean, I'm not going to say what came to my head, but you get hypnotized. But so look, she can drink some water on that one. But you become hypnotized to where you don't look. All right, Kendra, put that bourbon down.
Ginger ale, everybody's ginger ale.
You become so hypnotized to the point to where you don't see the person for who they really are, because you've now instituted this level, this lust thing, this sexual thing in there. And so as long as you're getting that, you missing all the other stuff.
Right.
Cedric, you were going to say something. You may want to address that, bro.
Got blinders on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think another important thing that we as men, another important relationship matter for us as men is that we can't be the most important ones in the room. In other words, we can't dominate everything. I myself, if I'm in a relationship, I will think of her feelings, right, towards a matter before I think of mine. If she's dead set on, I don't know, visiting her parents on my birthday every year, and I shouldn't be upset, because if she's already been doing that, I can't always be the most important one in the room. She hurt her finger. I come home worrying about, I don't know, somebody dropping a pot of coffee on my car, or somebody scratching my car. She lost somebody she cares about, and all I can think about is what is bothering me. That basically I try to make it equal to what she's going through. I think one of the best things we can do is we can acknowledge that they're going through something, or acknowledge their feeling, and put ours aside sometimes. We can't be the most important ones in the room all the time. That selfishness drives a wedge in relationships. It can cripple you.
And that works both ways.
Absolutely.
There are women who, have narcissistic tendencies and selfish tendencies.
98%.
She said 98%.
Male and female. Don't trip. Right.
I know I read a lot of books, right?
Is that what they say in the books? 98%.
The ones that I write. The ones
The ones you write.
Well, I guess I want to say this. I want to. You guys have really came up with some really wonderful suggestions for our brothers to help them elevate themselves, to be able to really to begin to become less materialistic and more holistic. if you will. And so, like I said, the total transparency, the listening, the comprehension, the investing, the sacrificing, controlling the level of lust. You can't be the most important thing in the room. All of that are things that I would believe it would appeal to anybody, not just a woman, but also to a man.
Yeah.
It all this goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were really to take a spin off of this, you're not my daddy, you're my man. You're not my mama. You're not, you're my woman.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not my mama.
Yeah.
Right.
I moved out of my house, moved out of my parents' house when I was 20 some years old.
20? I was 17.
And I'm not looking for my mama.
Yeah.
But you know what, Pastor Terry, it starts with a question for the man and for the woman. What is it that you really want?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it is the case that you are, like these tips, could fall on bad soil and not sink in if this is not where someone is. If someone is at the point like what Kiana was talking about, if I'm looking for this type of relationship with this type of whatever, if they're in search of that physical, well, be true to yourself first and ask the question of what is it that you really want. And then when you understand what you really want, then whoever it is you approach, don't trip them up if what you're wanting is something different. Don't misguide it. So if it's the case that, you're just looking for maybe somebody to go bowling with, every weekend, okay, fine. That's okay if that's your expectation, but don't say that it's, you have one intent and really you have something else. So I think it just starts with.
What if the man makes it clear that this is what the intent is? Okay, but then down the road, the woman's like, well, I know how this thing started, but I'm really wanting this to transition. And I loves you.
Well, if you don't love her,
it's over. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
the guy's like, whoa, this is not how this began. You know what this was. You know what this was about when we first got started.
So that's like my little show on Netflix, Virgin River.
No, I've never heard of it.
You all haven't seen that?
No.
You should watch it. It's cute. But there's a guy, Jack. And he's like he owns the bar right in town. And so he was in this relationship with the lady. And then his new chick moves to town. And now he wants to be in a real relationship with the new lady, right?
Right.
And so the other ladies, of course, they threw in a little twist later on. We all know what that is. But now, so he's kind of stuck with her now. He doesn't want her. He wants the other chick, right? He's kind of like that. Yeah. So from the beginning, you knew what he was doing.
Right.
You knew what he was doing. Right. So if you tried to turn it into something else, that never works.
So I guess back to what DeAndre was saying. DeAndre, what do you want? You've got to make sure that you understand who you are, what you want in the up front.
And let me clarify this, that what you want can develop and it can evolve over time. The more you get to know about the person, what have you. But right out the gate, if you're like, hey, I'll use a bowling analogy to keep it simple. I'm looking for, you like to bowl. I like to bowl too. How about we hang out and go bowling and get to know each other? Okay. But if that expectation is clear up front, or kind of like what Kiana was talking about, if that is your intent, man or woman, whatever your intent is, be clear about it. Don't say one thing what you think a person wants to hear, because you're in that interview phase and you're just trying to land the job. Just be transparent. You got to be honest with yourself and be honest with whoever it is you're in a relationship with, and that applies to men and women.
I got a question for the ladies.
Go ahead.
My question is simple. When do you go from point A to point B? How much time do you put out there? You know what I mean? What's a really good time frame from when you meet a guy, right? And the relationship's progressing, and then all of a sudden, maybe the word relationship comes up, and then you decide, okay, we're exclusive, and then the words like marriage and stuff come up. What kind of time frame do you ladies have for any of that or all of that to take place?
Well, I don't have a time.
I'm talking
frame
conversation,
anymore, of course, but
and then
I'll let the single ladies take that one. I don't have time.
Well, I like that's kind of hard
that.
to put in like a time frame. I've never been like a time frame person. I feel like when
Right.
you like the point that DeAndre had made, like when you kind of put like the time frame, like, oh, I need to be married by 30, XYZ, like you end up selling for something that you originally might not even want. So I'm not really a time frame person. I'm more so like it just depends on the person and how the events go. I can't be like, okay, I'm gonna date him for a month, and then by the third month, you know, I want a ring. Like that's weird. Like it doesn't work
crazy.
like that. Yeah, I can't put nothing on a timeline.
See, I asked that question because a lot of brothers need to understand that. Ain't nobody in no rush. If she want to be with you, she will be there. You can take your time. You can take your time and do it right. You can do it. But you know, I like to do
that's the old jam, man.
Because in my short life, I think I prefaced 35 last time. So in my short 35-year span, I like to go slow. I think slow and steady wins the race, you know. But I have met some of those ladies that we talked about last week. You know how y'all on fire, and there have been some demands put out there, and it's like I don't know what to do. Since I'm not 6 years old, I'm gonna do the only thing I can do. See you.
I've had some of my homeboys tell me that. Like even one of my homies that I hear, like he was on the phone with one of like a girl that he was interested in, and she gave him like an ultimatum, being like, okay, either we go and hop into this relationship or we not doing nothing. But like the problem was they were like it would have been long distance, and that's not for everyone. You get what? Yeah, it was crazy. Right, but like a long distance situation. So he's like, no, that's not me. So I just feel like it just depends on the situation. But for me, I would say the one thing, like I would definitely need to take the person through the seasons before I even consider, you know, really tying the knot. Like I got to see what you like throughout a whole year. We're not breaking it up into quarters and the halves. Like, no, I got to see, you know, full circle what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yana reminds me of my younger self. I'll be honest with you. She's so level-headed. Yeah. She's level-headed. That's how I was. I was just like, well, you know.
I really want to go ahead and start wrapping this up, guys. You guys have given out a lot of wisdom here, from young to me older, being senior statesman over here. You guys have really given out some wisdom to the men, and not only to the men but to the women. It's reciprocal. You know, it can either go either way. And as far as how they can elevate their game to get to the point to where you enter into healthy relationships, and not one where you're looking for a daddy or you're looking for a mama. You want someone that's going to be your helpmeet, someone that's going to be your equal. And I think you all have given some wonderful advice. But more than anything, you got to know what you want up front, and you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with the other person. And I think that's very, very important. And so with that being said, I want to wrap this one up. I want to thank you guys for coming back again for another show. I want to thank everyone that watched. Again, we're going to be on Thursday at 6:00 on Envision Radio, vision-radio.com. And again, we just thank you all again for joining us, and thank you all for supporting So You Think with Pastor Terry. Thank you all again, ladies and gentlemen. And we look forward to next week's show as we come back, and we're going to be still dealing with some relationship issues, but we got another panel of people that are going to be on that are going to hopefully take it to another level after what you guys have done. So thank you all for being with us. You all have a great night.
Thank you, guys.
You guys hang on.
See you.